Dude, this is going to be great. You're going to be like, oh, 15 seconds in and we can finally sync up audio? Cool. Do I? I don't. All right, I fended it off. Hey, everybody. I hope that doesn't make it in. Welcome to the USL show. I'm your favorite cheesemonger's favorite cheesemonger, your favorite podcaster's favorite podcaster, Evan Valella. Hiya. How's it going? Been a minute. And I'm joined by one of my friends, someone that I'll see tomorrow, which is kind of crazy. I really hope you enjoy hearing the two of us talk to each other, because if you don't, got some bad news. It's the waviest man in the St. Louis metropolitan area, the cream in your Irish coffee, Mr. Phill Grooms.
Soon to be your short-term roommate.
Soon to be my short-term roommate. We should convince the Total Soccer Show and the Cooligans to move in with us and then do a real-world style soccer podcast kind of thing.
Gross for sure. I'm sure of it.
Yeah. It'd be fun. It'd be fun. We could all bond over having tattoos and being frustrated at soccer teams. I don't know.
I think that would check out for sure.
Great. Phill, we broke some news. No, we did. Collectively as a network, we broke some news. Some of our soccer friends, and by that I mean sources, who I'm not naming, sorry. Cameron Lancaster looks like, for all intents and purposes, he's going back to Louisville City, which makes a lot of sense, matter of fact. And I know you talked to our dear friend Benjamin Wright earlier today, but we'll chat a little bit of Cam Lancaster and then we'll move on to some other things, because there's been a good bit of movement between the USL Championship and MLS this year, which is finally nice to see. But is there anything in the hours since you talked to Ben that you've found out or have wanted to discuss about Cameron Lancaster? I don't think we need to talk about his on-field.
We all know what he can do, and especially
he's very, very good.
Yeah.
He's very good.
Yeah. Just to recap really, really fast what me and Ben talked about, like that he was shopped to other USL clubs, but Lou City is the one that came down with it. How he wasn't really used in Nashville. A lot of that was injury more so. He's 27 years old, even though his injuries, you would think he might be 31,
I did some digging. 2 ACL tears at 27 is not awesome.
He needs some of those stem cells, something.
I guess. No, but I couldn't figure out if it was the same ACL or not, because that does matter a little bit. But the first time he tore his ACL was in the summer of 2012 when he was at Tottenham Hotspur. It was 5 months after he would have made his debut for Spurs, and he was replaced by one Harry Kane, in fact. There was a time and place that he was in front of Harry Kane on the depth chart, which is incredible. And then he tore his ACL after one appearance for Louisville in 2015. So, but it's interesting. I think mostly for Nashville, what they're a little worried about is that he's up to – the MLS Players Association does a wonderful thing every year where they release everyone's salary, so there's no guesswork, kind of. Last year he was making, or this year, or however it works out as far as what they're paying these people, he's on $70,000, guaranteed compensation of $78,000. Apparently Speedway Soccer has that he's backloaded, so this year it's going to be $110,000, and he's an international slot, which in MLS is tricky. So I think Nashville feel like they could probably do better for younger and maybe an American. For about that price.
Oh, but it's also, Louisville's putting a lot of faith in him too, because that's an international for them, and that's a hell of a lot of money for a USL club. We don't know how much Louisville's paying. Nashville may take some of that, but
if they're paying at all, it might be a loan thing, and then when he's off the books, you just get rid of him. Who knows? We'll find out in the coming weeks and years or what have you. But I think for Louisville, this is just super attractive because it's a guy that you know. And really well. James O'Connor's back now. Not that he's coaching the team, but he's there. And then I think You know him well enough, and I don't think you've changed your medical staff, and I think they know how to treat him. They kept him pretty healthy when he was with Louisville, and you don't have too many guys that can walk in, put up 25 goals, and leave.
And they haven't changed a lot there, so I imagine he'll be able to jump right in without much change there.
I would think.
You mentioned a loan, and we don't know whether it's a loan or it's a purchase, but I just really hope for Lancaster's sake that this is a loan, so that if he kills it again, let's say he gets 20 goals again this year, and then they can give him another shot in MLS the following year. Let's say they lose a few strikers. It would have to be a few strikers because Nashville's kind of building him up and look to be looking for more.
Yeah.
But they could bring him back in, and it's a guy that they know better than anyone else on the market. They wouldn't be rushed into a purchase. So I just hope it's a loan as well. I'd like to see Cam get another shot. This is an unfortunate circumstance for him.
I'd almost want to see Louisville pay for him.
Oh, so why?
I think it takes some of the pressure off of him needing to perform well for somebody else.
Think someone else would take a chance on him other than Nashville if it's not a loan? Do you think anyone would purchase him ever again? I think it'd be the death nail.
Would it? Phoenix loves throwing money at people. Which is not an MLS move, but I mean, it's a move. Would anybody? Surely someone would take a look, right? Like he'd get in a camp or something.
Into a camp for sure.
I don't know. Yeah,
some things that we've noticed in our Slack is, there are players that don't sign right away, even though they're going back to the same club, like Paco Craig, who is trialing in England apparently. Sam Fink did it this year with St. Louis, where he didn't sign right away. I assume he shopped himself and went to training with someone. There's always that. Always that.
Yeah. Do we want to move on to the other gentlemen that have made their way up or down the leagues?
Is Lancaster's going down. This is an unfortunate story. It's one, unfortunately, that's common for the USL, but we have way more happy endings here, at least beginning of a happy story for a bunch of USL players. So I'd be a good one to end on.
Yeah. I mean, so Adam John is the one that caught a lot of headlines.
Atlanta?
Yeah. For what, 100,000, right?
We are 90% sure that
we're led to believe it is 100,000. Okay, that's
probably, if that's true, that's the biggest transfer fee ever between those leagues.
It would have to be. It's a little tricky because there's kids like Brendan Aronson and a couple academy boys that have moved up to like MLS minimums that are like 70,000, but that's not the same idea because that's in-house, like within the organization, so it's a little tricky. Adam John, James Musa is going back
but up to Minnesota United.
Yeah.
To Kansas City.
Yeah.
Before.
Yeah. Amadou Dia is with Sporting Kansas City, and then Brian Anunga actually just went from Charleston to Nashville. Great moves for all these guys, for sure. Phil, the theory that I have, though, everybody but Brian Anunga that we listed, like Amadou Dia, James Musa, Adam John, have all previously been with MLS sides.
That's a good point.
In fact, Amadou Dia had 32 appearances with Sporting Kansas City previously. James Musa has been all over the place, but he has 18 with Swope Park, 1 with Sporting Kansas City. And I mean, to be fair, Musa's been with Wellington Phoenix and Fulham, and they put him out on loan to Hereford United, and he was with St. Louis for a bit. Like, he's been around. He's been the bigger clubs. And then Adam John, as I suspected, San Jose Earthquake, 62 appearances for 3 years, and Columbus Crew, 41 in 2 years. So these are guys that MLS teams already know about.
True, but
so I don't know if it's necessarily, oh, look, people are paying super close attention to the USL. Now, granted, Adam John had 17 goals and 31 appearances in Phoenix last year. And James Musa, 54 appearances for Phoenix over the last 2 years. And he's a New Zealand international. Amadou Dia, 83 appearances for Phoenix. But, it's names that an MLS general manager is going to go, oh, I know who Adam John is. I might not have seen him play in the last year, but he's around.
And they have comparables. The fact that, he did okay, I don't think they did badly. None of them really did badly in MLS. It's just they were really good players in the USL. And so maybe their thought is they come down, they get some confidence, they play well for one of the best teams in the USL, if not the best team in a couple of their cases.
Yep.
And then they bring them up as a somewhat known quantity that this is perhaps, in the most favorable situations, this is the beginning of MLS willing to give USL a little bit of trust. Maybe.
It's definitely the first year, at least, that I can remember, and I'll just say that it'll just be the first year that we've seen this many moves anyway from USL to MLS. I think there's a couple of people that maybe deserve a look who haven't quite gotten one yet, or that have been with two teams previous or whatever. I'm thinking of a couple people very specifically who played for New Mexico last year. Yeah, I mean, it's tricky, and I think some of the other guys, like, Vincent Bezecourt just moved, which is an interesting one. There's a lot of these, like, weird fringe, not quite good enough for MLS, but, like, maybe a little bit too good for USL guys that Cam Lancaster is another one. Even when James O'Connor had the job with Orlando City, it was like, well, should they sign him? And it's like, he's good, but he's not going to be putting up, better than Josef Martinez numbers when he has to play in MLS. And maybe that's where the apprehension or the caution comes in for these MLS front offices, where they're good, like, they're undeniably good talents, but are they good enough to fit into my team right now? And maybe that's where it goes, well, I could find somebody else. And how much do they cost? How much money are people willing to put towards someone what is the value of these? I almost said kids. What is the value of these guys? Like what is no one's been really, really burned yet by a USL signing. Other than the teams that have come up from USL burning themselves by keeping too many people. So until we have like a weird like Ryan Leaf-esque, that's a very old reference. Was there a better one? No. Damn. Until we have like a guy that comes up from USL to MLS that's just absolutely terrible and like didn't come up in an expansion side, we're not really going to have a barometer for, okay, well, that guy cost us, $50,000. So let's say that everyone in USL is worth like $50,000. So we'll see. I don't know. It's one of those things where I think it's on its way to becoming a viable business strategy or a viable way to sign players. But we're not quite there yet. I think actually, funnily enough, I think the Open Cup changing so that MLS teams come in earlier is going to help sort of figure out how good the best of USL are. So
I think what we need is, I bet you anything Mark Anthony Kaye had something to do with give this a shot. You know what I mean? And so what we need is for 2 or 3 of these guys to be everyday starters for the most part, to become that for a team, for them to start really trusting USL, saying this is how good you have to be an everyday player in MLS from USL. And so, we got to be rooting for these guys if we want the U.S. pyramid to involve the USL more and more over the years, which is something I've been dying for, Yeah,
for sure. No, it's really interesting. It'll be nice to see USL sort of establish a foothold over the next couple of years or even this year. And, even though they are kind of rehab projects, I'll be interested to see what Adam John can do and Dia and Musa, those guys going back. On a side note, if you want to follow the show, you can do at the USL show. That's where you'll find us. I'm at Speak Kevin Speak. Phill Grooms is at Phill Grooms, 2 L's, 2 O's. And bonus content for you guys. If anyone's going to be at the National Soccer Coaches Convention this weekend, we'll be there. We're in Podcasters Row around a bunch of podcasts that are way more famous than we are, which is cool, which will be great. It'll be a really good time. So if you see us, if you want to hang out, like I tweeted earlier, if you see a guy in a bunch of flannel with tasteful tattoos of animals on his forearms, that's me. Come say hi. I'll be there. Phil will be there. Ira Jersey from League One Fun will be there. Yeah, feel free. We don't bite. We really don't. And we also like drinking. So if you see us and you want to buy us around, hint, hint, go for it. But other than that, take care, and we'll talk to you guys sometime soon, I'm sure.